Currently, I'm a producer for MSNBC, and I'm responsible for 2 hours of programming on a weekday basis. I'm part of the team that does The Rundown with Jose Diaz-Balart, and we come in between 5 and 6 every morning, produce 2 hours of television, from everything on the weather to what's going on Capitol Hill, immigration, politics, I mean, you name it. My senior year at Auburn, I applied for an internship here at the Today Show on the advice of another Auburn alumni who was working here. I never thought in a million years that I would get it or be considered for it. They interviewed me over the phone and offered me the internship. Moving to New York and interning in New York for 6 months was a life-changing experience, to say the least. But, you know, Auburn had prepared me for it. Back in 2013, this was almost 2 years ago now, 2 bombs went off at the finish line of the Boston Marathon. I was working at NBC News at the time as a producer. I was actually asleep when the bombs went off because I was working the overnight shift at the time, so I slept a lot during the day. So I remember waking up around 2 o'clock in the afternoon just to check my email like I normally did, and I got on Twitter and saw some of the first pictures of what had happened. Around midnight, we had heard some chatter on Twitter that there was some kind of police activity in Watertown, Massachusetts, which is just north of the city of Boston. Now, at this time, we knew who the suspects were. They had been named by the FBI. Their pictures were everywhere. You know, they were really the 2 most wanted people in the country at this time. We knew that police were shooting in Watertown, Massachusetts, and that 2 bombs had just gone off not very far from that site. So that was really it. We stayed on for a couple of minutes and then decided to go back on later if we knew more. It turns out we did eventually learn a lot more, that this activity was indeed related to the search for the suspects, that police thought they were within range of apprehending these 2 brothers. And so around 2:30 in the morning Eastern Time, we not only broke into MSNBC programming, but also to the NBC television network, which is a very big deal, to say the least, because you're interrupting programming for virtually the entire nation. And the late night comics were still on the West Coast, so we knew that if we were going to do that, that we had to be sure and that we had a lot of information. And we thought we would be on 5 minutes max. I think we ended up staying on for 5 hours, right up until the Today Show came on. As we all know, ultimately, one of the brothers was killed in a shootout with police. The other was ultimately apprehended later that morning. And so it was, my role was specifically the hunt for the suspects. That was part of the larger team that was awarded the Emmy. Well, it's something I never thought would happen to me, especially when I was 28 years old. I know people that have worked in this business for a lot longer than that, and some that have done work that I envy and have never won an Emmy. When I found out we were nominated, it was great to be recognized for something like that, especially by people that have been in this business for a lot longer than you have. I immediately put it on my resume the next day, and then got the trophy in the mail, I think, about 2 months later, and it's now sitting on my desk in my apartment. So when I come home after a rough day, that's the first thing that I see to remind me there's a reason that I chose to be in journalism.